Okay, so for the last year, we've been making it pretty clear that we're not happy with the United States, and we're showing it by not going to the country. And that our relationship with the United States, it's changed. I mean, Europe knows it, Asia knows it, but the United States, not really. Because they always blame it on the exchange rate, or it's the economy, or that Canadians will eventually come back, because where else do we have to go, right? And I don't know about you, but it annoys the hell out of me. I guess that's just like US exceptionalism, I guess. Or even ignorance, kind of like this guy right here.
We continue to set tourism records. 2024 saw more than 142 million visitors come to the state of Florida. This includes 3.3 million visitors from Canada. That's not much of a boycott in my book. Maybe they wanted to get a glimpse of what a Stanley Cup winning hockey team actually looks like.
Well, first of all, dumbass, you're comparing 2024 numbers, and things were fine in 2024. Why don't you compare 2025 or even 2026 instead? But of course he's not going to say that, because he's not going to get any clapping if he does. But the problem with this, comparing 2024 numbers is not factual, and people are believing him. And the problem is that you're getting these dumbass Republicans basically saying, oh, well, DeSantis said it, so it must be true. Kind of like what Taco Tuesday says in this next one. And don't worry, I got chipmunk mode enabled.
Transgender for everybody, men playing in women's sports, crime ravaging our cities, and the whole world was laughing at us as a stupid nation. They called us a stupid nation. But they're not laughing anymore. America is respected. Again, I think like we've never been respected before. You saw I went to the G20, I went to the G7, I went wherever we go, they're looking at us as the real leader again.
Well, that's the Republican and Taco Tuesday reality. The real reality, the one that we all live in, is that the United States is a joke, and we are laughing at them. But this is the big problem that the world's going through right now, and Canada's not immune. I mean, we got our own problems north of the border too. But to explain this, it's a little bit out of my scope. So in this video, I'm going to get the help from Wayne Smith, a professor at the Toronto Metropolitan University. And you may have recognized him from his interviews on CBC, Global, and shit, what's the last one? CTV. And also all of his radio appearances as well. Wayne has become a great friend of the channel, and I'm very happy and honored to be able to share his knowledge with the community. So let's get into his Wayne Explains video.
Good morning, everyone. Well, or whatever time it is where you are. But today's Wayne Explains is all about the F word. I'm not going to use slides today. Heck, I'm not even going to use a script. And it's kind of funny that I'm explaining the F word because I have people who've known me for decades who've never heard me swear. And it's not because I don't have some moral thing against swearing. I just like playing with words, and I'd like to be more creative in my approach to expressing myself through certain dialogue.
I don't have any problem saying the F word. Like, fuck Trump. Like, seriously. I've been trying to get Wayne to say the F word, like, on a video, but he's very disciplined. I have to give him credit. Instead, what he says is fudgicles. That's pretty funny.
But today, I may be forced to use an F word or two. One of the things about this is that people ask me, I do media all the time. And let me put this up front. I get paid nothing for doing extra media. I don't get paid for being on CBC. I don't get paid for being on Global. I don't get paid for being on CTV. I don't get paid for appearing on radio stations. I don't get paid for being on GTL. The university pays me a very handsome wage. I put this as part of my community outreach, and it's a good part of what I do. I'm a public good in this sense. So the reason I do GTL is because I feel that I have a sense of knowledge and I want to share it with the world. And it's part of my duties to share what I know with the broader community. See, and this is part of the problem. The problem is that those in power don't want you thinking too hard. They don't want you to think, is this right? Does this match up to facts? Does this match up to ideas? They just want you to do what you're told. And this is the F word I'm talking about today. The idea that you have a system that begins in schooling, and I lived for 15 years in the United States. I got to see 3 kids get raised up in that, let's be generous, call it educational system. And listen, your job down there is to fill a grading rubric, is to do a standardized test. The only thing that matters is the final result. The only thing that matters is if you do exactly what you're told and answer the questions exactly as you're told to do them. That doesn't lead to creativity. That doesn't lead to innovation. That just leads to being really good at memorizing stuff and then forgetting it later and not caring about the value. Education down there has become transactional. I only go to school to get me job training. What the problem is that the only reason you go to school is to get job training. We have a whole bunch of citizenry that says, oh, as long as I get mine, it doesn't matter. They don't think any broader. They don't think in an empathetic way. They don't think in a sustainability mindset. They're not thinking, oh, this is going to benefit me this quarter, and that's the only thing that matters. And school begins with that. And then you do a Pledge of Allegiance every day. And then you have military who now go into social economic places and provide sponsorships. And this is your only way out. And what ends up happening is you erode a middle class. You erode a whole bunch of people who have some economic power to be able to do things. And as soon as you erode that class enough, you have the affluent and the not so affluent. That's it. You don't want that middle group. You want that big divide, because those who aren't affluent will not have the abilities. They're worried about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Go back to it. You have to have a roof over your head and you have to have safety before you can worry about any of the upper end needs. Well, if I'm struggling to get food in my belly and feel safe in my environment, gun laws, then that's what I'm going to worry about. I am not going to worry about creating a just society. I'm not going to worry about making a society that is good, that works for the vast majority. I am just trying to survive. And this is where the F word comes in. They are creating a society where that gap between rich and poor, it creates this chasm where the poor are only trying to survive day to day to day. They're just trying to get food in their bellies. They're just trying to keep a roof over their head. They're just trying to fill up their tank of gas. And your life becomes consumed by that. You then look for your entertainment, and your entertainment, YouTube, and you notice I am obviously not AI, right? My kitchen would not be this messy if it was AI. But the idea of this is that take a second and think for a minute. If I'm only curating information and I'm giving you tidbits of information, you've gone through a school system that, okay, if you spit back what I tell you and exactly how I told you to do it, you get rewarded. Now the media, once you graduate, go back to old Marshall McLuhan, the medium is the message. They're now spitting you back information, and you've been trained your entire life to take that information, trust it, and spit it back exactly as they told you to spit it back. You've had a message controlled for you for all these years. And this is the problem. When the message is controlled, when it's curated, it doesn't leave, and people are just worried about surviving. They're not worried about critical thinking. They're not worried about what is good for my fellow person. This is the problem. And this is the society that's being created. You wonder why there isn't millions of Americans on the street every day protesting? Is because they're stuck on the bottom 2 levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They're just trying to survive. And they've come through a system where they've been told from the minute they're knee high that America is great, America is this shining beacon on a hill. Your test, the way you get rewarded in school is do exactly as you're told, how you're told to do it, and then you get A's and you're awesome because you get those things. Or you're really good at running a sports ball somewhere and you do exactly, and you have that community pride around your team, and your team is the most important thing. Well, your team America. So you've grown up your entire life that your team in America, USA, USA, and you've grown up your entire life learning that lesson. So you have someone come in and they say, I'm going to make America great again. I'm going to make this place better. And these are the things that I look at and really think about for a second and think, what the heck? This is why people are protesting in the street. This is why certain companies can get away with being monopolies or duopolies or very concentrated ownership where they control all the messaging about it. When you control the populace, you control their ability to think, you have the power of the people. You disincentivize all the power of the majority and concentrate all the power in the elite. And this is just examples of this. I go back to this idea, and I want to come back and say this one more time with all due sincerity. I believe, and this is Wayne's personal beliefs, that we have done education wrong. My job as an educator is to give people tools to how to critically analyze stuff. If you take everything I say in the class, if you take everything I say in a video and you don't question it, and you just consider it gospel truth, you're doing yourself a disservice. I am one human being. I have one perspective. I have bias. You need to question what I'm saying. I want young people to question what I'm saying and what I'm doing and think for themselves. Is this right? I want them to be able to look at other people's perspectives, whether it be ethnic diversity, whether it be gender, whether it be all kinds of different thoughts and ideas from the political spectrum. I want them to think. You don't have to like, you don't have to agree with their ideas, but you have to consider them. And after you consider them, you can say, okay, this is what I feel, this is what I believe. Let me look at it from their perspective. Do I still believe that after I see it from their perspective? I want to have a world where I teach young people how to be able to adapt and change. And look, there's a problem in the world. How are we going to make it better for people? How are we going to create a sustainable community? How are we going to do a sustainable environment? Yes, we have to make money. I'm a business school professor. Trust me, I understand making money. But how do I do it so my business isn't exploiting others to make money in an unethical way? At the end of the day, the powers that be don't want us to think, because if we don't think, we're easier to exploit. And that is today's F word. Because if you don't think, you're going to get down and you're going to be put into this world where your freedom is going to be merely an illusion. And that is the real F word of the day. Back to you, GTL.
I really want to thank you, Wayne, for this video because it has helped me personally to kind of realize that I'm no longer living in the illusion that I was before. And for me to explain that, I mean, I have said that in my videos that up until the point when I started this channel, I consider myself to be naive. I consider myself to be in my bubble. And I'm not afraid to admit that. I mean, yeah, I was in a bubble. And I could have continued living my life that way. But for me, it kind of changed when I started questioning things. Like questioning whether or not the things that our next door neighbor is doing to us is right or wrong. I mean, I could have had an attitude of like, okay, yeah, they're trying to take us over, but whatever. That could have been my attitude. And unfortunately, it is the attitude of a lot of Canadians right now who are just kind of apathetic about things. It's not just apathetic people in the US. We have them in Canada as well. But focusing on our neighbors to the south, Wayne is spot on when it comes to the education. And just believing everything that their government says is truth. I mean, let me go back to that example of DeSantis saying that the boycott is not happening because of 2024 numbers. Look how many people clapped, and just believe it like the lemmings they are. The more US citizens that don't question their government and just believe everything they say, the ones without critical thinking are just going to hurt themselves even more. And the US government and their country, they're just going to dig themselves into a bigger hole. Now, if you're a Canadian or international viewer watching this video right now, you might be thinking, oh, who cares? We're not in that country. And I totally agree with that sentiment. But we also have to realize that their actions affect the rest of the world as well. Your next door neighbor, they could set their own house on fire. But you have to make sure that the embers from their house do not set your house on fire as well. Sorry, the co-host just stepped in. I got a little bit distracted. I forgot what I was going to say. But I want to thank Wayne for giving me a new perspective on how to see things, as well as a reminder that the problems that we see in the United States, I mean, for us on the outside, we can see it. But it might not be so clear for those within the borders. Now, again, it's not our problem to fix. I mean, they got to fix it on their own. We just got to make sure the embers don't catch our house on fire. Closing off this video, I would like to thank Snapshot from our Discord server for posting up this photo from North Rustico in Prince Edward Island. And I'm pretty sure I've never posted a photo from North Rustico before, so Belgian and curious, you have a new pin that you can put up. But I want to thank you, Snapshot, for sharing this with the community. And I do want to thank the community for supporting me on Substack as well as buying me a coffee. And just within a week, I think I went from like under 100 subscribers to 3.9k. And it might actually hit 4k by the time this video publishes. And Mayday 2026 told me on our Discord server that I was actually number 2 on Substack's new bestseller. I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing it was probably good. But I also feel like I'm providing more value on Substack as well, because in my videos, I tend to forget a lot of things, and after I render it and upload it, I'm like, shit, I forgot to talk about this. So what I've been doing is that every time I post up a video, I follow up with an article on, things that I forgot to talk about. So I encourage everyone to sign up for a Substack account and just subscribe to my page. I mean, it's free to do, and you'll get my daily emails. And you only have to pay monthly or annually if you want to. So, I mean, if you don't want to, that's fine. You just have to press subscribe and you get my newsletters. So if you haven't checked out my Substack page, the link will be in the description below, along with my Buy Me a Coffee as well. And again, I sincerely thank everybody who has contributed to my Buy Me a Coffee as well as Substack. I told one of the viewers that emailed me, I'm usually the guy that people go to for help, whether it's technical or physical or fixing things, financial or anything. I'm not used to it having it the other way around, where I'm asking the community for help. And I really appreciate everybody's support. Alright everyone, that's all I got for this video. And again, I want to thank Wayne Smith for helping to contribute to my channel, as well as giving his thoughts on the current situation that we're in. If you found any value in anything that Wayne said, or you want to hear more from a Canadian and international point of view, without the US media bias, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. That way you'll be notified of my future videos. And don't forget to hit the bell icon and select all as well. Now, if you want to see more of my videos, check out the ones that are going to show up on your screen shortly. Thanks, everyone. I'll catch you in the next one.
The polka dot door, the polka dot door. Let's peep through the polka dot door. Songs and stories and so much more. Through the polka dot door.